I'm here today with Jerry Ross, and Jerry is one of our WKU alumni clarinetists, and he is a fantastic clarinetist and a real specialist on the bass clarinet. Jerry's from Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm just so thrilled to be able to stay in touch with Jerry on Facebook and just like we're having a chat now. He's an amazingly positive spirit. He just exudes positivity all the time since I first met him, and I just look up to that. I think that's fantastic, and he's been really has left that with our clarinet studio since he's graduated from WKU. Jerry, welcome aboard here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming and taking time out of your day.
Yeah, anytime for you.
Jerry, let's start talking today a little bit about your background in music. And we can absolutely go in any path that you like. So if something comes to mind and you have a story to tell, just please go ahead and just share it with us. I wanted
Yeah.
to start with what you got you started in music, maybe in elementary, middle, but particularly in high school when you sort of got focused in on, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So let's start back with your early musical childhood.
Yeah, so it kind of started just really random, honestly. It was just a random choice for me. So in sixth grade, we had the choice during like one of the periods, maybe it was like third period or fourth period. It's like a special period, so you could do like PE for
Mhm.
6 weeks and go into arts and humanities for 6 weeks. So it was like a rotating period, or you can choose a permanent one like orchestra or band.
Mhm.
And I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I'm kind of in the hallway at this point and just kind of alone looking around, and everybody's gone into their classroom. And I look down the hallway and I see a door open. So I walk over, and that's the band room. I see instruments inside, and I said, it'd be kind of cool to learn how to play music. I think that'd be cool. And so, yeah, I walked right in, and that was the start. And so, yeah, and then we got assigned instruments
Mhm.
by our individually. So our band director would call us to the back of the room, and he had us play in a trumpet mouthpiece and see how it felt.
Okay.
It definitely wasn't for me. And then he asked me, so is there any instrument you're interested in playing? And I said, well, I like to learn how to play the drums. And he said, well, we don't have drum sets. We have percussion. And I just sat there because I had never heard that word before. So
Mhm.
I didn't know what percussion meant. And the only name I knew of an instrument was the clarinet. And I said, well, what about the clarinet? He said, well, okay, I'll write you down for that. And that's how I got started on it.
Wow. So you got into high school and you met Jessica, who you worked with a bit in private lessons, and I only bring her up because I know she's a really established teacher in the
Yeah.
Commonwealth of Kentucky. Tell us a little bit about what you all worked on, how you met her, and what you guys worked on.
Yeah. So I want to start when I met her. She came to our band camp. She taught the woodwinds my junior year,
Hmm.
so that's how we got introduced to her. I thought she was fantastic then. She really knew her stuff. So um the getting into more of the journey of going to college,
Hmm.
it was really about, at that point it was mainly, you know, being prepared to pick up a clarinet again as
Right.
my principal instrument, because I had been playing bass clarinet from seventh grade up until high school, all through concert band. And
Hmm.
so and that was a conversation I had with you. You said
Hmm.
you had told me on the phone that you have to get two clarinets, a wooden one and a plastic one, and because there's no bass clarinet,
Right.
lessons at
Hmm.
the school. So
Sure.
yeah, so I called Jessica, and I asked if she was still doing lessons, and we studied, and she helped me for a few months. Before she helped me, working on my scales and
Hmm.
picking a concerto to play for the audition at WKU, and
Yeah.
we solidified it, and
Let me
Yeah.
jump in here real quick. I have to tell you that, when I work, Jerry, with students year after year, what the students think I see and hear probably is correct. I might hear and see things, but I also see and hear other things that the students are not always aware of because I'm trying to look at the person as a bigger whole. And
Mhm.
the little you just said to me just stood out incredibly is that you took this initiative to contact her, and that puts you in a very small group, a really sort of, in my opinion, an elite group of people that say, I want to do something, and therefore I'm going to make an effort towards that. I'm going to have a goal to strive for. And that goal can be on any level. It can be on a level of just wanting to take one lesson, or even just to make a phone call to reach out to someone. So that shows an incredible initiative on your part. And sometimes I think students just sort of pass those off as, oh, well, I called them and we started lessons. Yeah, that takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of confidence to make those phone calls, to reach back out to someone who came to your band camp to work with you, and to get some attention, get some focus and some information from them. It's
Yeah.
great. So hats off to you on that. That's a big thing. So and I was so thrilled to meet you. I knew Jessica from past years, and so you came to WKU. You started your studies. You very quickly established yourself as a very strong player. And each of these interviews I've been doing of who we are, our clarinet and saxophone studio at WKU, I'm often, when I look at you all, like you in particular now, I am actually, it's triggering sounds in my mind, like what your clarinet sound was like and what your bass clarinet sound was like. And it's really a thrill for me to have those like sort of sonic memories of
Yeah.
who you all are. So you have a really distinctive, dark, rich sound. Your sound is colorful. It has layers, and you had spent so many years on the bass clarinet, and you just brought that over to the clarinet, to the soprano clarinet, when you started playing it. You didn't overblow the instrument. You played it with some focus. You had to get a moment to just get acclimated to the
Yeah.
instrument, but you still approach it with a really good regulation of and direction of your airstream, with a not overblowing, with some sort of taste to keep your sound focused. You had a conception of sound, and I think that's cool. So let me jump over to your bass clarinet for a second. Tell me about bass clarinet. Give us some bass clarinet masterclass workshop advice, because you
Oh,
have a lot of natural abilities on that instrument, and I think you know a lot of what you did to make it sound so good.
yeah. I'll say this. You know, when I going to WKU, there were a lot of people who, wanted to try the bass clarinet who had just been clarinet players.
Hmm.
And I always wanted to remind them that, the bass clarinet is nothing like the clarinet. You know, it is a completely different instrument. It's a
Hmm.
completely different voice. Um, I was just I was lucky enough to, in seventh grade is when I started playing it because my teacher had shown us, Miss Hunt, she had shown me the instrument and a
Hmm.
few other instruments and played a few notes, and I instantly wanted to play it. And I was, yeah, like I said, I was just lucky enough for it to sort of be an extension of who I am and my voice, and the statement I wanted to make in band. So
Tell me
yeah,
about that. My perception, Jerry, of a bass clarinet
mm,
is that it's a real. I love playing bass personally, and I
mm,
think that I love it because it provides this really fundamental foundation for everybody else to play off of, both
yeah.
tuning wise and rhythm wise. Tell me what are you talking about? What you're talking about? Your perception of how the bass's role in an ensemble is.
Yeah, and it's just that instrument that can stand alone or be a voice to others as well. So,
Mm.
for example, when I would be in wind ensemble, I remember playing my part with the bass trombone behind me, and I found that those two voices blend so well together. I think it was Noah Macklemore who was playing the bass trombone, and
Uh-huh.
you find that instrument is so versatile, but it can stand alone so well.
Uh-huh.
And I guess you can argue that a lot of instruments can stand alone, but yeah, you know, and I just want to make sure, you know, when I was telling people how it's really different from the clarinet, I just wanted
Right.
to make sure that, you know, if this is something you want to do, you know, make sure, you know, set your expectations a little different.
Sure, absolutely. Tell me a little bit, just to stay on bass clarinet, just for another moment, to pick your brains, because some of the natural abilities that people have on instruments, they just they know what they did, or they just need to be kind of prompted to say, "Oh yeah, I did that. That's how I did this." So, talk to us about air. How your production of air, preparation. Did you breathe deeply? Did you breathe down low? How did you think about air on the bass? So if you're thinking about playing with Noah on some of those important parts, what would you do to prepare?
Yeah, with the air, it was a journey, really. You know, at first it was kind of like, you know, I was had to really work on, you know, what the sound, because it can be a very, very powerful sound. So,
Right.
and I wanted to get to that level, and I think by high school I did. You know, just really working on, you know, breathing exercises, and
Hmm.
you know, those are very important. We used to have a coach who used to help us with band camp. They used to come in, and that really, you know, strengthened my lungs enough for, you know, to produce the sound. So yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's great. It's great, and you very naturally fell into that. And like I said a moment ago, when you started playing the soprano clarinet, you pretty quickly learned to, uh, like you said, the two instruments are quite different, and
Yeah.
you pretty quickly learned. And I think this is for me the important part is you relied a lot on your ears and your listening. You had I always told you from the very beginning I thought you had incredible astute hearing. You had a really like it's almost as if it was like a sixth sense for you. You relied as much or more on your ears as you did on your sight, which I think is really fantastic when you're an instrumentalist like that. It gives you a way to refine and continually refine your sound and your approach to your instrument, particularly when you're playing with other people. And that's one of the reasons I think you were so successful as a bass player is that you played in ensembles and really adapted to what was happening around you. So if you're playing with the bass trombone player, you're playing with the clarinet section, you're playing with the saxophones, you're playing a solo on the bass, you very quickly always acclimated. Anyway, it's just a thrill. Again, like I said, I have these memories of these sounds in my ears, in my
Yeah.
mind, and it's just a fantastic memory that I keep calling back. Um, so you went through college. You have lots of interests. You're a very diverse person. You have many, many interests. Film is one of your other interests. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about who you are. What kinds of other things are you interested in?
Yeah. So with film, it was you know, when I was in high school, I had to sit down with my counselor. I think this was my junior, towards the end of my junior year. I really didn't have a plan yet of what I wanted to do, and I really had to sit with myself about that, and, you know, say, you know, what do I want? What do I like? I mean, I'm a musician, so obviously I want to pursue that in some way. Um, and you know, but, you know, I didn't know for sure if I wanted it, you know, to be a teacher, or, you know, go into
Hmm.
a career path as a musician. I knew I just wanted to stick with it, and
Hmm.
because it had, you know, it was the foundation that continued to lift me up into different levels,
It's great.
and it proved true in college. Oh my god. And
What do you mean? Talk
what
more
I mean
about that.
by, yeah, so I mean, you know, simply enough, the BRNB, the Big Red Marching Band, you know,
Yeah.
I had no idea I would end up in San Francisco. You know, or that was with Pep Band, you know, or in New Orleans, or in Texas. Even with Wind Ensemble, we played in was it CBDNA
Yeah.
in South Carolina.
Let me
Um,
interject. So you were just to give that so this is great. We're talking about stuff that I wanted you to lead the conversation, and you are, Jerry. You were the one of the premier drum majors of the Big Red Marching Band, and I say that with absolute, uh, you know, enthusiasm and excitement because you just drove those crowds, and the band just you connected with those musicians on the field. They looked up to you. You were friendly with them, but you were in a leadership position. It was just an amazing experience those years. Tell us more about that. Yeah, that's just great.
oh yeah, being drum major, that was probably the greatest thing I've, other than graduating. That's probably one of the greatest things that happened to me because it was a position that I wanted for a while. And I think I got it my junior year and then head drum major my senior year. And my central goal for being in that position was to just not be another person who's up on a podium waving their arms.
Hmm.
I wanted to be a true leader, and I wanted to make sure that in a sea of 250 plus people, I wanted to make sure that most, if not all, of the individuals are not lost, and wanted them to know that they are needed and wanted and felt special. It's very easy to get lost in that sea of people because it's
Sure.
so many. And the band director can only do so much. He can only say so much with that in that respect. And but it was up to people like me and the band staff and the section leaders. It was up to us to make sure that we had a personal connection with the band, and that they saw an example up there that really cared about what they were doing, really cared about them being there. And yeah.
How? Okay, so you're a leader up there, and of course that word is thrown around a lot,
Mhm.
and people
Yeah.
don't always understand the depth of the significance of that word. So you're again, let's kind of go backwards a second. You're looking at 250 plus people, and you start out in band camp week, and you're in your junior year and your senior year. Can you give a couple of instances of where you realize that you have the ability to positively impact those students? Maybe a challenging situation that you encountered, or a really cool situation that you encountered where you kind of all of a sudden had the light bulb moment and said, I can actually make a positive effect on this. I can help this situation. Again, I
Yeah.
started the conversation today, Jerry, with my first impression of you when I first met you was positive. Positiveness, Mr. Positive. You exude it. It's just great. And tell us a little bit about your experience as a leader in the Big Red Marching Band.
Yeah. So for me, I had to look at my own experience and, just, and look at my people who I had as band leaders and my band directors.
Hmm.
And I thought about the challenges I went through. And I went through some hard challenges in high school. And my band director was usually the one to pull me out of that
Hmm.
and help me through it. And so I really looked at myself and just took that to heart and said, you know what, everybody's going to be going through something,
Hmm.
whether we know it or not. I just have to keep that in mind
Hmm.
going forward and make sure, everybody, knows that I am a person that understands challenges and that they can come to me when they need something. Um, and I would do my best during the band camp moments. I would go around during the sectionals. I would sit in. I would make sure everybody knew my name,
Hmm.
introduce myself, and again tell them I'm here if you need anything. Your section leaders are here. We are your people. We work for you. you
Right.
know
Well, that's that trust you developed very quickly because like you said, and I was just talking with Ricky Dudgeon earlier for another interview, and a similar topic sort of came up in that, uh, and this is, I think, for everybody, all of us, everybody, teachers, students, everybody. Like you just said a moment ago, we run into challenges in our lives, and we can make some choices on how to deal with them. And everything is not like a rosy colored storybook at the end of the day. So we learn from these experiences and these challenges, and thankfully there are people out there that help us with these challenges and support us, and then we learn from that, and through the fantastic spirit that you have, you decided to inherently decided just to help others, and so you go out and talk with people on the field, like you said, and I think that initial, or not initial, but fundamental respect that people had for you because you're a compassionate person who relates to people well, that trust they had in you comes across immediately, and so they want to work with you. And that's how you were able to lead these 250 people along with your other fellow drum majors, because this fundamental trust was there. I think that's just a really important, incredible aspect about your personality, and it's just great. It's great. I'm having a great time talking with you because I just enjoy connecting with all former students, and it's just full circle. What a lot of what I knew is
Yeah.
being absolutely validated.
Yeah.
Just great.
It's amazing. It's
Um,
amazing.
so advice for students. So you've gone through a big uh, windy path of college experience, leadership position at WKU. As a leader, by the way, I can say that you grew a lot. So I'm sure your skill sets as a leader didn't just start where they were. You had experiences
Yeah.
and you learned from them. And now, with your understanding of all those experiences you've had, what advice would you give to a student who might want to think about coming to study clarinet or saxophone at Western Kentucky? What kinds of advice would you give to a high school student?
Yeah. So, well, number one, I would say do what you can to prepare. When you told me on the phone that I needed two clarinets, I don't even think I didn't have one of my own. so, so I had, I was lucky enough I had another bandmate. She was selling a clarinet, so I bought it from her. And I got it fixed at the music store. So, but again, we have challenges, and some people can't, just go out and get a clarinet. But
Right.
do what you can to prepare. And if you can get your own clarinet, do it. If you can take lessons, do it. Yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions, because I think I remember I probably talked to you on the phone maybe 2 or 3 times.
Oh yeah,
Just questions, because and I
absolutely.
asked Jessica questions, and she told me about, she was telling me about you and everything. So yeah, learn everything you can about, school and the people that you're going to work with. I know from what Jessica was telling me about you, that made me, want to go look you up a little bit more beyond your bio on the website, and that's when I saw you with, I think it was Jamie on the YouTube video.
Okay.
And that got me really excited to work with you, because it motivated me, because I was like, oh, well, I'm going to be working with the genius here, so I really got to
Well,
do everything
let's
I
not
can,
use that word.
and I have to, pick up the clarinet again, and so I
No.
really have to do everything I can to prepare. So, yeah.
Well,
And,
I'll just interject, Jerry. I
yeah.
have, and I've always had this a mutual respect for all students. I feel like in a way, well, not in a way, but absolutely, we're equals and peers in what we do.
Mhm.
So I may know a little bit more about the clarinet than an entering freshman, but when they finish, and if they just continue down that path, inevitably they're going to show me some things I didn't know about the clarinet. And so I look at everybody as a colleague, as a peer, and I have that kind of level of respect for everybody from in their if they're in high school and they even don't come to Western, fine. When they find the right fit, the right place for them, that's great. That's what I want for everybody. Um,
And that's another thing. The learning, it never stops. After graduating, I'll pick up the clarinet, a couple of times, and go through some old, music books, and
mhm,
I'm still learning things, so
absolutely.
never stop. The learning never stops. So always keep your mind open. Yeah.
Well, it's fantastic. It's just a pleasure to talk with you. I think we covered a lot of ground today, and the buzzwords that I continue to think about with you as a graduate, and everybody's unique, is positive spirit, your amazing, full, rich sound that you made on your instruments, your leadership skills. By the way, I'll have to come back before I wrap up here.
Mhm.
Every leader in the Big Red Marching Band leaves something behind that's helps the next person. And so your skills, your comportment, the way you carried yourself as a professional on all those trips that you went on all over the country, uh, set the standard for the next person that was going to come into those shoes. And so I think that the Big Red Marching Band at this point is a highly regarded ensemble. And it is largely due to the individuals in the ensemble and to the
Yeah.
leaders like yourself. So thank you for all your amazing service to that group. And uh,
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Yeah. All I can say is thank you to them. It's, it's not always easy, but yeah, I didn't do that for popularity. I did it because I love to do it. So, um, yeah,
That spirit and that passion, that's why you did such a great job. I mean, you're right. It's not for it's not for popularity. This is the real deal here, and you're the real deal. I mean, it's great. It's fantastic. Um, well, you've given us all some great advice. When I pick my bass clarinet up this week, I'm going to think of you, and I'm going to pump some air into that instrument.
yeah, a
um,
lot of air, a lot of air.
yep. Don't be a stranger. Let's talk soon and frequently, okay? And
Yes, yes, please.
we'll stay in touch. And I thanks again for taking the time out of your busy day, Jerry, to chat with me about our WKU Clarinet Studio and our Big Red Marching Band and our program at WKU. You
Yeah.
have a
All
great
right.
day, sir.
Thank you. You too.